I'm going to say, Mike, what day is it, Mike? It's hump day. Yes, we are halfway through our week. And I hope the first part of your week has gone smoothly. And I hope you're ready to do great things by Friday because the weekend is in sight, my friend. Now, on Monday Morning Cup of Joe, we talked about the dichotomy of judging versus perceiving. And let's hop into the classroom. Let's take a look at this, do a deeper dive. All right, so here we are in the classroom, and we've been talking about behavioral or temperament types. Things like, well, of course, foundation with Dr. Carl Jung, the Swedish psychologist. But then again, you've got Myers-Briggs type indicator, you've got Thyro-Bs, you've got disc profiles, you've got the Berkman, you've got the Hogan, we've got a myriad of different types of behavioral or temperament profiles that have sprung from Carl Jung's work. And what were we talking about? Well, episode 4, approach to doing. Isn't that special? So we talked about early on in the beginning, E is for extroversion, those people who gain energy from being around other people. Social interaction charges their batteries. And then we've got the introverts, and those are individuals who, hey, we don't mind social interaction. We actually do enjoy it, but we do need to go off and charge our batteries in solitude. And then we have these other 2 letters. Now we have one letter and then the other letter, but combined, they kind of give us more insight. So we have the NFs, right? The intuitive feelers. And these people are they're very much in tune with emotions. Emotions impact them, their own, or they can take on the emotions of others or be moved emotionally by other people. And then we've got the NTs, the intuitive thinkers that see beyond what is normally visible to most people, and they process it in their brains. They're thinkers. And then we've got the sensate thinkers. These are the scientists that are very sensate. If I can't touch it, feel it, taste it, smell it, hear it, it may not exist. I focus in on the tangible things and I process it. I'm a big thinker. And then lastly, we have the sensate feelers, that they gather information through their senses and then they identify with emotion afterwards. If you get the Please Understand Me book by David Kiersey, I put it back on the bookshelf so I don't have it with me. You don't have to. It's just, this was a very valuable book to me. $9.99 on Amazon. Mine's like totally worn. I've actually gone through, I think, 2 or 3 copies of it because I've been using it for 30 years. Then we take a look at, how the extroversion or introversion influences with these other 4 characteristics. And then we start looking at the judging, which is actually the archetype of judge. We talked about that on Monday Morning Cup of Joe. Or the perceptive or perceiver, and that's the adventurer. People who like to keep things, open-ended. They're agile, they're serendipitous, spontaneous even. And how these kind of interact and play within the other elements of our temperament. But in the temperament of, or the dichotomy of judging and perceiving, is really our approach to doing, our bias towards action, right? And so what does that mean? Well, here's the continuum once again. We've got that line between judging and perceiving. We fall somewhere between that center line and one side or the other side. Okay, and again, none of these are right or wrong, good or bad. They simply are our fundamental inclination of how we do things. So let's talk about the characteristics of both. So we've got the judging side likes closure. We talked about that on Monday. Like the judge, they like to have things finalized, decided, done. And then they're like, next, off to the next thing. Perceptives like to have things, again, open-ended, like I said. They're more serendipitous. They operate fine that way for the most part. The judge is the decider, focused on decision, right? And then we've got to be determined on the perceiving side. Keeping our options open. We'll wait until we absolutely have to make a decision because, things could change. And then the decision, if we had made the decision at the same time the judge did, well, maybe that decision might have been wrong. The judging, we're organized, we're structured, clock in the calendar kind of a thing. Maybe even more so, we go beyond the calendar and look at the compass, make sure that we're moving in the right direction. And then the perceiver is the adaptable and unstructured approach to things that just seem to work for them magically. Yes, for the most part, it does. And then we've got the judging. Play is earned. We do our work first, and so that we feel good about going and playing. We feel like we earned that play, and we don't have to worry about things that are not done yet. We don't have to worry about the undone because it's done and finished, and now we can play, right? However, on the perceiving side, we've got, hey, let's incorporate play in our work. It makes work fun, right? Makes the boss nervous a bit, but it's, it's why wait? Why hold off on the play? Because, life is short. Let's get the play in there while we're doing the work. And then judges seem time is finite, right? They have deadlines. They're driven by deadlines. They actually like deadlines because they see them as goals. And in a way, it challenges them, and they're up for the challenge most of the time. And the perceivers, well, time is infinite. We're going to be here for a long time. What's the hurry? Relax. Slow down a little bit. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination, right? And you can see wisdom in both of these. They're not mutually exclusive. We can see elements of the other in ourselves always. The point here is that we do have one fundamental inclination toward either being the judge or being the adventurer. Now, look, I'm a J. I said that on Monday Morning Cup of Joe. But that doesn't mean I'm not adventurous. I mean, I rock climbed for 15 years, and I'd like to go back and do that again. And during that time, I went on several cave expeditions. I even jumped out of a perfectly good plane. So there's a lot of things that I have done that are adventurous because I enjoy the outdoors and I love adventure. But I made sure I had my work done before I left. Incurable judge. So there you are. Those are the biases that might give you a little more insight. If you, on Monday Morning Cup of Joe, I just introduced the topic to you. Now you may have a little more information where you can say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can see myself where I have a propensity for one over the other. It's all right. Okay, think about that. And please do me a favor. Now, I can't remember what platform it was, but I'm not getting a whole lot of people writing stuff down on whether you're one or the other. Now, there's going to be a value in this because next week we're not going to be done with the series. I've got one more drill down that I want to do to talk about, first of all, the reason why we do this. The reason why I felt it was important enough to put it on the Cup of Joe series was this one thing. We need to really understand ourselves. Self-awareness is very important at square one. But the next level of evolution for us is understanding ourselves and then being able to understand other people so that we can meet them at where they are. Okay, if that sounds interesting to you, then I hope that you will join me next Monday for our Monday Morning Cup of Joe. So please be cognizant that It's a natural inclination of one or the other. You should have enough information to be able to make that decision now. And remember, it's important that we identify our blind spots. We can only do that when we share this with others, with, like I said, a trusted friend, a significant other, a spouse, whoever, so that you can say, I see myself kind of like this, so that they go, yeah, I see you like that. And that gives you confirmation, right? Because that's what we need to do. It's that believed, perceived dynamic. We respond to these things as we believe we are, but we need to identify how others perceive us because it's that gap between the two that carries the truth with it. So this is a whole learning process for us. Now, I mean, you know what? So many of you have said, oh, well, I took this 5 years ago and da 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 da. Well, you know what? I have learned that the personality traits are somewhat dynamic. I first took my first MBTI back when I was 21. Well, a lot's changed since then. You get married or maybe not, had kids, kids have had kids, right? All that stuff changes you subtly, but maybe enough to change your profile, your life circumstances. You move to another place, you get another job. Your life experiences will influence your temperament over time, especially if you have significant events that challenge your original archetypes. So keep that in mind also. That's why doing it now will give you the freshest picture of who you are and understand yourself. I'm going to be sharing some free tools next week on our drill down on after the coffee that you'll be able to take the formal, temperament test and be given tons of information that will provide you insights. I always kind of highlighted the things that I could really relate to. Oh, yeah, yeah. And then I underlined the things I thought, no, it's not really so much me. Right. And then I shared that with my partner and said, hey, what do you think? Is this, I really see this in me, don't you? And for the most part, I think it was like, man, yeah. And I said, but these things, these aren't me. And they'd be like, well, there's some element of that in you in there. So it's a really great self-discovery process that you get to go through here. And it is relevant. We need to know and understand ourselves before we can begin to see others in their temperament. And then we can adjust our way we communicate to meet people where they are. And that's really what this is all about. Meet people where they are. I hope you've had a good first part of the week, and I am looking forward to you having an excellent remaining part of the week and having a nice weekend before I catch you with another Monday Morning Cup of Joe. Have a wonderful remaining week and lead well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday.